Six p.m., April 18th, 2023. A call to order the Coney County Council meeting. As a reminder, the public has two times that they can speak in council meeting. The first is public comments, and the second is public hearing, if there's one scheduled. Other than those two times, the public should remain silent during the council meeting. Anyone making a disturbance during the meeting will be asked to leave council chambers for the remainder of the meeting. Also, as a reminder, please ensure that you follow the county's legal prohibition against engaging in partisan political activity, including speech, during this meeting. This meeting is not called for that activity, and such activity is prohibited by law. Moment of silence, please. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Well, dearest Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for loving us as you do, for being faithful as you are, even when we are not faithful and we are not loving. But I pray that we would become more like you, and during this meeting we would act out of love for you, out of love for our neighbor, operate with the fruits of your Spirit, love and joy and peace and patience, kindness and goodness, faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. That we be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. That this would be your meeting, governed by your principles. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Durham, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the March 21st, 2023 regular minutes?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That was 5-0.
Election of officers. Council chairman. Is there any nominations?
Nominate John Elliott.
I nominate Matthew Durham.
Second.
Any other nominations? If not, Mr. Root, do I do mine first, or how do we do it?
Yeah, as Mr. Davis got his nomination first, you'd take any A's and nays for you, and then to Mr. Durham.
Okay. All in favor of John Elliott?
Aye.
All opposed?
That was 2-3.
All in favor of Mr. Durham?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
That was 3-2.
Durham? Any change chair?
John, you want this paper copy? Okay, next agenda item is county attorney comments. Nope, I'm sorry. We're still on election of officers. Is election of council vice chairman. I'd like to nominate Mr. Don Mize. Any other nominations? Okay, all in favor of Mr. Mize, raise your hand. All opposed?
Aye.
That is 3-2.
Okay, next is election of council chairman pro tem. I'd like to nominate Mr. Glenn Hart. Any other nominations? All in favor of Mr. Hart, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
That is 3-2.
Okay, next is county attorney comments. Mr. David Root.
Mr. Chairman, two matters really in the nature of housekeeping. Just one, I wanted to notice to the public, council knows that we got We received 3 questionnaires for board and commission appointments after the publication of the backup materials. 2 were for the Building Codes Appeal Board on Ms. Smith and a Mr. Owen, and then 1 for the Board of Zoning Appeals from a Mr. James. So that's just by way of notice. The second matter, I need a motion to amend the agenda. We do not need these 2 executive session items, so it'd be a motion to amend the agenda to remove Economic Development Matter Project Red and Economic Development Matter Project Dual.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
That is 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Then next we have county administrative comments, Ms. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Root covered the one housekeeping item that we had for the removal of the executive session item, and I have nothing further.
Thank you, ma'am. Presentation to council, Appalachian Council of Governments, Mr. Steve Pelzier. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. And I go by Steve, so to make it easy. I do appreciate the opportunity to be with you again this evening. I'm here to say thank you to Oconee County for your support for the Appalachian Council of Governments and the partnerships that we've had with Oconee County for many, many years now. And also here to give you a brief report on your return on investment back from the Council of Governments to the county and services and activities from the Council of Governments to the county for 2022. I also want to thank Mr. Davis and Mr. Elliott for your service on our board of directors. Appreciate all you do for us. Other Oconee County representatives to our board include Senator Thomas Alexander, our longest-serving board member, Westminster Mayor Brian Ramey, citizen members Mr. E. Riley and Ms. Marta Whalen. So I think in terms of measuring results, return on investment is always a good item to look at. And for 2022, your investment in the Appalachian Council of Governments was $38,993. Coming back to the county, municipalities, and citizens of the county was $2.76 million, or $71 back to Oconee County for each dollar you invested. And I did, prior to the meeting, distribute copies of the annual report and stuffed an Oconee County insert in the front of that. I'm not going to read it to you tonight, but would ask that you take a look at it in your as you get an opportunity to, and we'll maybe just go through a few of the highlights. Provided over the past year $1.25 million through our Rural Transportation Improvement Program, two projects, $1 million into the Fairplay Interchange Improvement, SC 59 and SC 182, and then $350,000 into the intersection project in Oakway, South Carolina 24 and South Carolina 82. That completes the Oakway project. The Fairway project will continue through 2025 with a total of $3.5 million. I have another project ongoing as well, the J.P. Stevens Road project, which is scheduled to also go through 2025. It's on the books for this year with more funding coming in future years. Overall, since we started our transportation improvement program in 1998, we've provided $39 million in road projects in the county. Also, services to seniors. I think this is important. Our purpose there is to allow folks to stay in their homes. They do better. They enjoy life more being in their homes and their neighborhoods than having to be in an institution. It's a lot cheaper for us as taxpayers to provide support. Folks need to do that than to put them in an institution. Last year, we provided $769,000 for services to seniors in the county. 66,000 meals served to over 450 folks. $53,000 in caregiver services. This is if you're keeping an elderly relative in your home to help you to do that. In-home help to 82 seniors, talked to over 1,000 folks from Oconee County to give advice on Medicare and other benefits to help them get signed up and registered for benefits that they're entitled to receive, and investigated 62 complaints of folks in long-term care facilities for negligent abuse and other related things. Helped 2 communities secure federal grants, Seneca for their amphitheater, a $250,000 community development block grant, Westminster for its park, $50,000 through Appalachian Regional Commission, and continuing with 4 other projects that were given, that were awarded grants in previous years. The Sewer Authority, the South Extension Project, Walhalla Water Project, Walhalla Trail, Walhalla Greenway, and Seneca Building Demo, all ongoing. Over the past 5 years, we've worked with entities in the county to secure $7.9 million in federal grant funds. Also provided $230,000 through our partners at WorkLink for workforce development and job skills training over the past year. In addition to the money, some other things. We've worked with many of the municipalities across the region as well as in the county with the CARES Act and the ARPA to make sure that they have procedures in place to administer these funds that they got, to set priorities, and to do reporting that's transparent and keeps them straight with all the regulations. Worked with several service providers and local governments to develop the SCIP applications to help tap into the $195 million in funds through the Rural Infrastructure Authority for that. Awards should be announced within the next few weeks on that. Other general services to the municipalities, as well as training for first-time supervisors from local governments and state mandated board and commission training as well. There are also others. Again, I would encourage you to look through the report as you get an opportunity. But outside of that, if there's any questions, be glad to answer those. But looks like you have a really long agenda, so I'll cut my prepared comments at that.
Anybody have any questions?
I'd just like to thank you, Steve, and the Appalachian Council of Governments for what they do to Oconee County.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Steve, thank you for your continued service. It's, again, one of the things, that annual investment of $38,000, bringing in 70 cents on the dollar, which is great. That's less money that comes out of the taxpayers, and especially what y'all are doing on the roads in the county and those projects. Really appreciate the emphasis on that. So thank you and your board for service.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Chairman, I'd like to thank you for the help that y'all gave Fair Play for the sewer line too.
Okay, I'll pass that on to those folks. Arlene and Jill were the ones that worked primarily with that, but I'll tell them you said thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay, we have a proclamation 2023-01, a proclamation declaring April 30th through May 7th, 2023 as Conservation Stewardship Week. Whereas soil and water and other natural resources are crucial parts of life, laying the foundation for the health and well-being of our community. Whereas the wise use and stewardship of these resources is essential to maintain healthy and thriving population of plants, animals, and people, thereby establishing a sound environment and a strong economy. Whereas Oconee County enjoys rich natural beauty and resources such as spectacular waterfalls and lakes, clean air, and healthy prime soils, making Oconee County a destination location in a leading agricultural community in South Carolina. Whereas this year marks the 86th anniversary of the establishment of the Oconee Soil Water Conservation District, as well as the adoption of the first Soil Conservation District plan in the nation by Ms. Adams. And whereas the Conservation Stewardship Week calls attention to the importance and value of locally led conservation efforts by conservation districts, organizations, and private citizens to continually improve our natural resources for present and future generations. Now therefore, the Oconee County Council does hereby proclaim April 30th through May 7th, 2023 as Conservation Stewardship Week in Oconee County and declares it significance to its citizens, encouraging all to recognize their responsibilities to future generations as stewards of our vital natural resources. I have a motion to approve.
Make motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
That is 5-0.
And are we presenting this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll need to sign it.
Okay, up next, we have public comment session. Public comment session is limited to 4 minutes per speaker. I have a sign here, I'll time. When it comes to 3 minutes, I'll hold up a warning, and then when you reach 4 minutes, I'll hold up a stop sign. Miss Jennifer Adams, she's gonna be calling the names out for us. And when you come up to the podium, please repeat your name so that it can be captured into the record.
Our first one is Matthew Smith.
Hey, I'm Matthew Smith. First off, I'd like to say congratulations, Mr. Chairman. You definitely deserve this. Mr. Hart, you and Mr. Mize, congratulations. Y'all deserve these positions. Mr. Chairman, Matthew, I just want to say that it's great to see you back. You and your family have been put through something that no one should ever be put through. I feel like the state has weaponized the legal system against you, and it's something that a lot of people, some people even in this room were happy to see happen to you. I think it's disgusting. You stood tall, you stood firm on your belief. You didn't back down. I'm humbled to know you because you are a strong man. You lived every day like it was your last. You fought hard for your family. You fought hard for your name. I'm proud to say you're a friend. I'm proud of you, and I don't know anyone more kind, more humble than you. And you deserve it. And I just want to say that I appreciate everything you've done for your family, for everything that you fought for. I think you have fought for this county hard, and I haven't seen it been done yet by anyone other than you. The way you fight, you've came into this for the citizens, and I feel like you're going to always be that way. You're a good man, Matthew Durham. A dang good man. And I appreciate you. That's all.
Daniel Manhart.
Yes, my name is Daniel Manhart. I got taxed and regulated to no end in the People's Republic of New York, in Buffalo. And I landed in South Carolina. And I've been happy as hell ever since. Until the pandemic. And I was knocked out of my vote. Every time I went to my voting place, after all those years, they want to send me 20 miles out of the way, to Mountain Rest. I live in Tomasi. And I hope if any of you have any pull with anybody in the political end to rectify this situation. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Alexander Shadwick.
Al Shadwick, 811 Pluma Drive. Thank each and every one of you for your service to the county. A tough job. But I'm here to speak about the Paul's Diner project. I think it's called Green Paul. Why does Paul's Diner Exxon Station not have sewer now? It's the oldest continuous running business on that side of the county. Sewer passed us 3 times, and each time we made the county and sewer authority aware. Why? Well, how much did the other developers on 123 pay for sewer? Well, Hartwell Village got paid $1.2 million in cash. They contributed $600,000, plus they got a $2.5 million tax abatement. The student housing project there, how much did they pay for sewer? The hotel, the fast food places. Was there a provision if the developer sold the project? Lakeside Lodge, $2 million, tax abatement, 0 for sewer. The Pier, $3.5 million cash bond, paid through tax abatements. Epic, special source revenue bond. Based on what I calculated, that one would total out to about $2.2 million. Dr. Wilson's old property, that's where the grocery store is. That was developed by the Edwards family, the Journal, and Upstate Today. In the out parcels, how much did they pay? In our case, our developer is asking for partial repayment of money he is investing into the county sewer authority system. This is like paying a $1.2 million impact fee, $4.2 million cash he is investing and asking for $3 million back over a period of time over taxes. If I were him, I would ask the same as the other developers and just ask for the incentives. This would save him a lot of money. And this goes, the sewer issues have been going on in this county for a long time. So we developed Cross Creek Plantation. This is kind of a brief story behind that. We fought to build Cross Creek. We fought the county, the sewer department, the city. We put 475 home sites, taps, water taps, and sewer taps with the agreement when they were purchased, we would be reimbursed. Guess what? That didn't happen. No tax abatements, no tap fees. The day we opened, we had to drive to DHEC to pick up a permit so we could connect the sewer system, along with a $25,000 impact fee just for the clubhouse. The following year after we opened, the city and county passed a sewer moratorium, and we were frozen from selling lots. Let's see, 4 years ago, that's 4 or 5 years ago, that's when we had the great flood. That spilled over 10 million gallons onto Cross Creek. So, the last time I came to county council was over the property taxes for Cross Creek. We paid, in 2012, we'd already paid $3 million of property taxes, and we were taxed 4 times the amount of the cliffs, 4 times. I realize that this has little to do with the Paul's project, but it shows 2 things. Number 1 is gross negligence and lack of accountability. Number 2 is fairness. What was done for others? Is there a fairness clause in the Genesis agreement? I think there is. The county transferred $8.5 million note to the sewer authority along with assets and agreed to take care of and fund unincorporated areas as approved by the council. It furthered this statement when it stopped paying the $600,000 a year to the sewer authority for unincorporated areas. The Paul project will be an asset to our community and is joined by Clemson University on 2 sides that backs up to the Clemson Wellness Facility. This will be very beneficial to the county in the future. Our developer is asking for partial repayment of the money he is investing into the sewer authority system. This is like paying a $1.2 million impact fee.
Mr. Shadwell, you're approaching 4 minutes and a half.
This is truly not an incentive, but an impact fee. But in fact, the county does not want student housing. It needs to make that very clear and change the 2020 planning documents and revise them. Then pay takings for people's property. Very similar to what's been done on the lake. Lake zoning was done. And yes, that will be challenged at some point, just like they did on the coast. And then just in closing, there's over $750 million of proposed developments on that corridor. in that area. So I just hope we don't miss opportunities. Thank you for telling me.
Candy Bianco.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and speak with you, before you today. My name is Candy Bianco. My primary purpose for speaking is to ask you to vote no on ordinance 2022-32 to subsidize the Project Green Pond, which is a multifamily residential apartment and home complex, i.e. student housing. This would be on Route 123 in Seneca, 1/4 mile south of Hartwell Village. Part of this development is on land owned by Clemson University. Let there be no mistake, this is student housing. Recently, neither Pickens nor the city of Clemson subsidized student housing, so why would Oconee County do this? According to the ordinance, voted on twice by this council, I quote, "The project is anticipated to benefit the general public welfare of the county by maintaining employment, increased tax base, and other public documents." But there is no mention of employment requirements by the developer, no disclosure of all tax incentives, no disclosures or estimates of county costs and services, and no specified public benefit. The true total cost to our county is unknown. There is a lack of transparency because of the non-disclosure agreements between county councilmen and employees and the developers. When the councilmen vote on projects like this and others, we as county residents do not actually know the full cost or the impact of their votes. In addition to the $3 million giveaway, the cost for the use of county resources such as law enforcement, EMS, and fire will be significant. The additional strain on these emergency services will lead to longer wait times for county residents. What we as taxpayers and residents do know, high-density residential development will increase the traffic on Highway 123. This project includes 400 housing units with an unknown number of residents and vehicles. No traffic study is publicly available. I don't know if one has actually been done. A diagram shown in the Journal this morning shows no less than 5 outlets onto Route 123. It stands to reason the driving time anywhere north will be longer. With the addition of hundreds of residents, the road maintenance costs will increase. And remember you, the councilman, floated the idea of a county sales tax to pay for already needed road maintenance. Yet, we are going to pay for road maintenance for student housing. The developers are the same that built Dockside in Clemson. This complex has had numerous problems, including carbon monoxide leaks, sewage, mold, alarms that have gone off very often, and most recently, the broken pipes. This demonstrates poor construction oversight and accountability to tenants. Do we need to subsidize student housing for which we will get traffic headaches, strains on Oconee County resources, and other unknown costs? If there is additional student housing, why aren't they going to pay for their fair share of using county resources known as impact fees? This vote is ultimately about our quality of life. This $3 million could be used towards road maintenance, increased pay for law enforcement, and other projects that will directly benefit county residents. As an aside, there is another vote this evening on renewing, I know there's a transfer in ownership, the tax breaks for EPIC student housing. What are the public benefits this development for county residents, and what is it costing us? Developers sometimes are like water. You have to have water to survive, but too much is dangerous and destructive. And just like water, developers find the easiest path to move forward. Do we want this path coming through Oconee County? Hopefully, the answer on the vote tonight is no. Thank you very much for your time.
Ma'am.
Lane McCall.
Wayne McCall, representing McCall Brothers Corporations. Speaking of law enforcement tonight. I looked at the budget a while back, wrote a letter, it was in the paper, about $18 million. I said, man, Lord, 18 million. And we can't, right now, we're short on deputies. Why are we short on deputies? We're short on deputies for one reason. We can't pay them enough. They get trained here, they go to Spartanburg, they go anywhere, they go to Duke Power. So, I've been told if I come here tonight, I've been threatened by the special interest group. One guy said that he's gonna do away with me. I said, another group called me up, say, you speak Spanish tonight, we're gonna get you. Hola, ¿cómo está? It's muy bien? Okay. All right. What's expected of a deputy? A deputy is a special person. Social worker, marriage counselor, dispute negotiator, law enforcement, that's a small part, decision maker, had big split decisions right there on the spot. He's a medic for drug overdoses. He's someone who's a good listener. Every day he leaves home, not knowing if he's gonna come back, not knowing he's gonna be in the hospital. I'm gonna play a little scenario out for you. All right, I get a call, I'm a deputy, I get a call. Go out to so-and-so's house, 3 o'clock in the morning, do a welfare check. I say, okay. So I go up there, I knock on the door. Oconee County Sheriff's Department. That's the shotgun went off. He got me in the chest. Got a bulletproof vest, but I'm falling back on the ground. He severed my radial nerve and the radial artery. I'm bleeding out. Well, I called for backup, got my radio. Said, man, give me somebody up here. There ain't nobody around. Have somebody here in about 10 minutes, they're the closest deputy, they're on the way, blue light and siren. Mike, the sheriff, he bails out of his house, he's headed that way too. But I'm getting cold. I'm getting sleepy, I'm bleeding out. You know why I'm bleeding out? Because I don't have a second deputy in the car like most counties in South Carolina. I have 2 deputies. All right, the next thing is, we got TV shows. Everybody sees the TV show. Oh, the deputy, he bailed out of a window. He's shooting 2 guns. He got all the bad men. He showed a fantastic car chase. That's not the way it really works. Deputy has to be careful. He's a professional. He can't go doing stupid things like on TV. Everybody thinks that. So, let's talk about, we got all this money sitting there. We're gonna waste it. $65,000 a year ain't nothing to pay for a deputy. Nothing at all. I ain't gonna make it, am I? So anyway, you got 65,000. That's a small price. So I'm gonna wind it up real fast because they're gonna throw me out of here anyway. I want to know how many councilmen, all of you sitting up here, you go knock on the door 3 o'clock in the morning by yourself carrying a little old 10mm pistol? That bulletproof vest, if you get shot in one, man, you go fly backwards, you're gonna have a whelp on you. You don't have nothing on the sides. Here is open, there is open. We're overrun with drugs. We got drugs coming in everywhere. Los Pepes, that's one of the gangs. We got the Honduran gangs up here. Fentanyl. Right now, I asked the sheriff, I said, how many deputies can you have here with me tonight? He ain't got too many, because they're all on the road working. We need at least 20 more deputies, at least 5, 6 more investigators. Each investigator right now has got 100 cases on their desk. Right now, they're working through. Every weekend they come in, they got more cases piled on there from that weekend. I want to know how many of you council members want to go to autopsy, want to go to a house that's been broke into, or just breaking in, they didn't get anything. They tore that house from limb to limb. Everything's busted on the floor. It's a darn mess. Well, that's another investigator. That's another thing for the investigators. Time's up.
Motion for 3-minute extension.
Second it. All in favor?
I ain't believing it. People say, I have a gun in my house. Everybody's got guns in their house. Are you gonna sit there watching TV with a rifle across your lap, one in the chamber? This ain't the military no more. How are you gonna stay up all night? The more deputies we have, the less crime. You got a bunch of deputies everywhere, drug dealers, pack up and leave. We ain't staying here. We going somewhere else. Crime goes down. Tourism goes up because everybody wants to come to Oconee County because thanks to the sheriff, it's one of the safest places on the face of the earth. We got to get our house in order. So if we don't give the sheriff what I'm talking about in my letter, we can't send these kids out on the road. I say kids because I'm 74, everybody's a kid. We can't send these kids on the road by themselves at night in a car, and there ain't that many patrolling. If there's 2 people in a car, at least that guy that got shot in my scenario, he's got a chance. Get the first aid kit, put direct pressure on him, we can get him out of there. Plus, how about if he goes in on domestic and everybody in the room decides they're gonna whoop that deputy? What's he gonna do? I call for backup. Well, we'll have somebody there. We got murders going on. We got this, that, and the other. So, how many of y'all, if you don't give what I said in that letter, I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you, this is the shape of things to come. That was a song by Max Frost and the Troopers. How can you look at the sheriff or deputy in the eye and says, I don't think you're worth it. I think the bicycle trail, I think tourism is worth more than you protected us. You got a chance. You got a chance to redo the budget and do the right thing and make this one heck of a safe county until the drug dealers and other riffraff that's moved in here. We got deputies, we got law enforcement, we got 2 guys in a car, we got the best equipment made. We want to get people from Spartanburg, law enforcement from Spartanburg to come to Oconee County. I stole that from you. We got a chance to really make a big hit by redoing the budget. I ain't telling you what to do. I'm just telling you, I want to see these kids. I don't want to read about, well, Mike got a deputy shot. What are y'all going to tell his family? Well, we didn't think you were that important. We don't have crime in our area. We got crime everywhere. In closing, we got people moving here, left and right. That means we need more deputies and more fire protection. The primary purpose of government is law enforcement and public safety, which falls under fire. Everything else is just icing on the cake. We gotta maintain to make this county good, to make it where you ain't worried about coming home, did they break into my house? We got white collar crime like you would not believe. Anyway, I hope I made my point, and good luck. Matt, it's good to have you back.
Janie Shipley.
Good evening. I'm Janie Shipley. I am a constituent of Mr. Mize in District 3. Thank you for the opportunity to mention a budget item as you are continuing your work on the budget. I am very concerned about the state of understaffing of the county elections office. A recent survey has been done of all counties in the state, looking at the number of registered voters and the number of full-time and part-time staff in each county. The county that is closest to us in number of registered voters has 1,000 fewer voters, and they have 4 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff member. We have 2 full-time staff. two very competent, gifted staff members who are responsible for the secure conduct of elections in Oconee County. But conducting elections is not all they do. I'm sure the Elections Office would be happy to share the results of this survey with you, and you may be surprised with some of the eye-opening details. For what do they need additional staffing? One major function is voter outreach, which could include voter education, voter registration, helping community organizations, all functions that would help the Elections Office become more a part of the community. Oconee County has almost 10,000 citizens who are eligible to vote but are not registered. An additional staff person could help address this gap. Another function during elections would be staffing early voting sites. Right now, Oconee County has only one early voting site, and that is right here in this room. Surrounding counties have multiple early voting sites because they have staffing available. The law requires that early voting sites be staffed by employees, not volunteers or paid poll workers. Now that the legislature has instituted no excuse early voting, it is thought that early voting will become more and more popular, and there will be more demand for it here in Oconee County. Without additional staff, there will only continue to be one site available. As you consider space needs for the county, I would also like to put in a plug for additional space for the Elections Office. If you have been here before and after an election, you have seen these ballot machines lined up in the hallways out here, a condition that does not exactly meet a high standard for election security. But there is currently no additional space for these machines. I expect that a recent review by the Department of Homeland Security may have some insights and suggestions on this issue. So I hope you will work closely with our elections staff as you plan for expansion of county facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
David McMahon.
My name's David McMahon. Mr. Mize, Mr. Hart, Mr. Durham, congratulations for your new elected positions. Mr. Durham, it sure is good to see you back. I'm glad to see some conservative values headed back in our way in Oconee County. All I can say is, for Mr. Durham, what you went through, 9 months from an agency to investigate you, which the Oconee County Sheriff's Office would have had an investigation wrapped up in maybe 3 days. You went through 9 months. You was arrested on a Friday. You was indicted on a Monday. That's unheard of, but anyway, that's another story. Just glad to see you back. And also I wanted to say about, reiterate some things about what Mr. McCall was talking about. Some folks know that I did retire from the sheriff's office, and I'm saying exactly what he's saying. The sheriff's office in Oconee County needs help. We've heard tonight some developers talking about so much people coming into this county. We've got communities popping up everywhere. I know for a fact that when I was an investigator, sometimes I would work late at night because there was only maybe 3 or 4 deputies on the road, just running everywhere. I remember when I was a deputy, when we get busy, I would patrol Salem, Mountain Rest, and Walhalla in West Union. I would set up around picket post and wait on calls because I knew I could be in Salem up to the Pickens County line in a certain amount of time, and I knew I could cut up picket post and get to Mountain Rest in a certain amount of time, just me by myself. This is the reality of what's going on in Oconee County. I don't know what it's like now. I've been retired for 3 years. But I can tell you how it was back then. We need some serious talk and some common sense measures to try and get our deputies better equipped and to, as Mr. McCall said, to entice or to advertise deputies to come to us. Deputies are leaving Oconee County and going to other places because they're paying more money. I'm pretty sure that Oconee County could right now figure out ways to figure out how to advertise for our deputies to get us more in here. I'm telling y'all right now, fentanyl is crossing that border. We've got an administration in Washington, D.C. that ignoring the problem. People are dying in this state and in this country all the time over fentanyl poisoning. We've got to do something, and let's let Oconee do something about it. We can get the proper resources in here to help fight it. We can do this if we just spend the money wisely. Give the sheriff the resources to try to help be safe in Oconee County. I have stood over many of, when I say kids, like Wayne McCall said, a 20, 21, a 22-year-old to me is a kid. And I'm seeing they're dying, and I'm holding their mother or their father because they're looking at their dead child laying from an overdose death. We can do something about it if we can just spend the money right and correctly to do it. I don't want to see it anymore. In Greenville County, the xylazine is already in Greenville County. It's that drug, that horse narcotic that these evil people are mixing fentanyl. Even weed, marijuana now is being laced with the stuff. And you know, some kids will buy some marijuana thinking, I'm just going to smoke some weed, and they die. We got to do something about it. Oconee can, and thanks a lot, y'all.
Rick Bach.
Hi, my name is Rick Bach. First of all, I'd like to welcome Matt Durham back to the county board. Appreciate that. I understand the budget for Oconee has increased by something around $10 million. You guys can probably address this afterwards and tell me where I'm wrong, but it's somewhere around there, right? I moved from the Chicago area for the very reasons I see developing here. You're all tasked with the job of taking care of our money. The county has no money except for what you get from us, the taxpayers. The things that I've seen happening here lately gives me concern. It started with the bike path and continues with some of the other spending items such as the sewer project and the student housing project that we're also favorable for. You've talked about getting funding from the federal government and other grants. I guarantee any money from the federal government always comes with strings. Don't let the promise of federal money obscure your vision for taking care of the money of the citizens of Oconee County. The prioritization of wants and needs is essential, and judging from the comments here tonight, I think there might be a little work that needs to be done in that regard. Please identify the needs before the wants are addressed. You are charged with being good stewards of our money. I hope you will fulfill this duty faithfully. Thank you.
There are no other speakers for public comment.
Speakers. Okay, next is council member comment, and I'll lead us off. Perry, I'm weak. You say I'm strong. I'm weak. God's strong. God carried me through it along with friends. And I just want to take a minute to thank the people of this community for your support and your prayers. We receive countless notes and messages from people we know and we don't know, running people at gas station or in the store. And oftentimes when I'll be at my lowest moment, God will send somebody along my way to lift me up. You know, in this life, Satan seeks to destroy families, and the enemy certainly knew how to attack mine. And he destroys families through sin. And all sin leads to destruction. So I exchanged text messages with a woman who wasn't my wife. I never met the woman without my wife present. So it wasn't that. But it doesn't make exchanging the messages any less wrong. And my decision to do that thrust my family into the divorce court. And as many of us know all too well, that the family court system takes two people in a tight spot, a difficult situation, and a lot of stress, and tends to pit them against each other. And I'd say ours was about as bad as it can get, especially when you go into that you have a public spotlight on it. And all this led to a DSS investigation. As you know, DSS, their threshold for proof is much lower than criminal. After a thorough DSS investigation, they ruled that all allegations were false, and a family court judge granted us 50-50 custody of our children. So that's where we were. We were a broken home. A broken family. And we can be swapping our kids out back 1 week at a time. But praise be to God, both me and Kate, we turned to the Lord, and we decided to save our family, to save our home, and we started putting the pieces back together. But as y'all know, our challenges didn't end there. 9 months after DSS unfounded all allegations, 9 months after a judge granted us joint custody, and 7 months after my wife and myself reconciled our marriage, I was arrested. Now, if they thought a man was guilty of the crimes they charged me with, why do you wait 9 months to make an arrest? What was to bother everybody here, no matter which way you want to believe, is that I was denied due process and equal protection under the law through the coordinated effort of the original prosecutor who filed the charges and the former state agent to deny me of my right to a probable cause hearing. I believe that was done because the crews were manipulated in order to achieve a warrant, and they knew the charges would be dismissed in a probable cause hearing. They did that through, as Mr. McMahon said, I was arrested on Friday, indicted on Monday morning, a process that normally takes 3 months in this county. Now, God will use all things for good if we allow Him. And Scripture tells us to count difficult times as joy, and that's hard to do. But I've learned to do just that. One of the blessings that came from this over the last 15 years, I say I have worked a lot. Over the last 2 years, you throw council duties on top of it. And this whole situation over the last years allowed me to take a step back from everything and to take a step into my children, take a step into my family. In our marriage, Adrian Rogers, he talks about a super glue marriage. A marriage that's been broken, but God restores and being super glued. Well, we've been put in a furnace, melted down, and remolded. Another blessing is I've learned I have true friends. Friends that will stand with me through the toughest of times. Friends who was attacked for standing with me, but they never wavered. And also I mentioned the people of this community have been kind and compassionate towards myself and my family. And now I'm innocent of what I was charged with. It never happened, but my exchanging of texts with a woman who wasn't my wife, that's what initiated all this mess. And my biggest fear from the beginning of this was that this would lead to a blockade to prevent my children from coming to a salvation knowledge and faith in Christ. See, both my wife and myself were saved. Though we're imperfect people, our eternity is secure, but our children are young. We're in the middle of this, about 2 a.m. in the morning. Her daughter Lily, she came into the bedroom, and she says, I want to be saved. So through Scripture, we was able to lead our baby to Christ. And it goes to show you that even in life's darkest moments, that God is there with us. And good is still performed. Someone told me the other day, made a comment that our children will one day hear about all this. And what's happened. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't intend to hide it from them. They can look at the mama and the daddy as an example of God's grace and mercy. And when hard times hit in their life, and they're sure to come, hard times come for all of us, they can see that in life's darkest moments, the great love of Christ will see us through. That no matter how bleak or how dark it seems, Christ holds the light. See, what the enemy meant for evil, God turned to good. God has a plan for our life. And serving the people of this county on this council is one of the greatest honors of my life. This seat is not my seat. My name may be in front of us. Right now it's John's name. But it's the people's seat. And I apologize for it being empty for so long. But I am grateful for your patience, for your grace, and for your mercy. And I look forward to continuing to serve you and represent you from this seat. Thank you. Any other council member comments?
Yep, I got a couple. I guess on the voting issue, you'll get with Daniel on that.
Yes.
He leaves every comment.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Wanted to touch base on Mr. McCall's comments, so, we'll give you 12 minutes to stand up here and talk, because I know you can't do it in 4, so I was prepared for the extra 3. So, just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about officer pay and in regards to what's occurred in the last 3 years. So and these are, if you've attended any law enforcement meetings or anything from that, this is all factual information. We've had the biggest increase in starting pay in the past 3 years than in the last 6 years. Again, this year, we have, it came through committee and it was put in the budget to increase, again, the starting pay, for, that would actually be the 5th year in a row, but, growing the increases over the last 3 is probably why we don't have 15 openings. So it needs to be more. I agree with that. The other thing is we're about $9,000 more in starting pay last year than we were 3 or 4 years ago, and I think we'll be, what do we settle, 44. So probably needs to be more like 46 to 56. I know we're working through the budget right now. I'm not against the 65, but I also think we need to make sure that the compaction stays there. So in speaking of that, on current officer pays, we've increased them. Some of them have had close to a 10% increase. So that's the biggest thing to work on. Is it is definitely important to increase starting pay so we get officers, but in honesty, more important to look at the compaction and make sure that our current officers, their pay is growing as well. Our current budget has an increase of more than about $3 million. I'm not sure after what we did today, but our current budget has over $3 million for increase in law enforcement between starting pay and compaction pay, and that compaction pay goes to current officers. So we've definitely shown that we're committed to that. So I know there's some conflicting information out there that we're doing bicycle trails and green trails are more important. That is absolutely false. Those are, wants at times, but at the same time, are they worth discussion? Yes, but we have definitely continued to fight for officers' pay. And to me, if that had happened over the last 12 years, we'd be in a better situation to be more towards that 55, 56 on starting pay, and our 10 to 12-year guys would be where I think they should be today. The budget over the last 2 years has passed 3-2. That's another thing to look at on there. So don't just let the information that flies out there cloud your judgment on what's really happening here, because we definitely have been focused on law enforcement, public safety. It needs to be more. It needs to increase, and obviously I'm definitely in favor, and as looking at the budget this year, it's well in there, and I'm grateful to be part of the council that passed those budgets. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I don't know quite how to say this, but how do you follow something that Mr. Durham has just said? I can't do it, so there's no use me belittling myself by trying to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Anyone else? Okay, next on the agenda is public hearing for the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-04, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of real property lease agreement between Oconee County and lessor and the Rosa Clark Medical Clinic Association, Incorporated as leasee, in relation to certain county-owned property located adjacent to the Oconee County Master's Office, located at 1606 Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Has anyone signed up for? No one signed up for public comment for ordinance 2023-04. I close public comment. Public comment for ordinance 2023-06. An ordinance authorizing the conveyance of certain real property owned by Oconee County consisting of approximately 0.15 acres, being a portion of tax map number 520-36-10-017, parcel 1, and authorizing the receipt of certain real property owned by Pine Ridge MHC South Carolina LLC consisting of approximately 0.25 acres and being a portion of tax map number 240-00-04-023, parcel 2, in exchange for the conveyance of parcel 1 and other matters related thereto. No one has signed up for a public hearing. I close public hearing on ordinance 2023-06. Okay, we have third reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2022-32, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a public infrastructure reimbursement agreement between Oconee County, South Carolina, Waterview Investment 1 LLC, and Ravenel Development LLC, previously identified by the county as Project Greenpaw, with respect to certain property in the county whereby such property will be subject to certain payments in lieu of taxes, including the provisions of certain special source revenue credits to reimburse Waterview Investments 1 LLC and Ravenel Development LLC for certain infrastructure costs incurred. Authorizing the execution and delivery thereof, authorizing the placement of certain property within the boundaries of a multi-county industrial or business park, or the creation of a new multi-county industrial or business park, and other matters relating thereto. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I've waited the third reading of this ordinance to voice my opposition because until third reading, I could not disclose that this project is student housing. I campaigned on a stance that I'm against any further expansion of student housing in Oconee County. Student housing is not economic development. It's economic disaster. Student housing puts strains on our sheriff's department, on our fire services, and other emergency services. It clogs our limited capacity of our roads and brings many other problems. I can't stop this project, but I can vote against any infrastructure property tax credits. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, just want to touch base on this project, and obviously being a student at Clemson 20-some years ago, back when I had hair. But I don't ever remember living in a student housing. I lived in Central and, lived in what would be considered kind of a mutual in between families and student housing together. I don't ever remember fire trucks being there, crazy parties. I mean, this just wasn't what I was. It wasn't what the place that I lived was. So I don't remember a huge strain on law enforcement. I don't remember crazy traffic around where I lived, and it was behind Ingalls in Central. And then we moved to a new construction. That was probably one of the newer areas there. Had a swimming pool, had that. And not only were there current students attending Clemson, there was also families that lived there as well. So it was a 2- and 3-bedroom homes. There was different things like that. So, to give, again, I don't remember fire departments. I don't remember, police coming in there, knocking on doors, banging on doors. I don't remember crime. I don't remember anything like that, and I lived there for 2 years. I was in college for 4.5 years. I moved down to Charlotte doing a co-op. I lived in what would be considered student housing down there. It was mutual between students and families living together. Very similar to how a lot of places are now. So, to me, to consider any kind of student housing bad investment or a wear on this county is not really, open up our eyes to the future growth of this area. We're very blessed to have Clemson University. We're very blessed to have students that commute to Southern Wesleyan, Anderson, that live in these areas here because they love Oconee County, and hopefully they call it home. So, again, am I for this infrastructure agreement here per se? No, but my issue with that is it's not a bad thing to have student housing, because it's also family housing as well. People talk about, subpar housing, subpar construction. Obviously, you don't see, I didn't live in stuff like that when I was going to school, but these kids have boat docks, they have boats, they have $60,000 boats. It's a total different world. And these are people that you want to live in your county. Clemson, I couldn't even get into Clemson even if I tried to right now. So Clemson is having some of the highest quality students in the state. And I'm not speaking to the people that, I guess I shouldn't be talking bad about myself. But I'm just saying, though, to sit there and knock any student housing, because students are living in rental homes. If I know there's a couple of landlords in here, there's probably some students living that. All throughout this county, students live through it. And again, I don't recall, people complaining too much about, when we talk about taxation, talking about lowering taxation on personal residences. The taxes coming off these property is huge. Epic, Hartwell Village, all that stuff. I mean, I bet everybody just about in this room has gone into one of these places. If you haven't, it's because you just don't want to, and that's fine too. But just to me, to group students into a bad wear on this place, wear on this county, to me is very, false. I hope my son gets to go to Clemson. I hope he decides to reside in Oconee County in student housing in there, and I hope he is a good student. I hope he is a good member, citizen of Oconee County future-wise. And I hope that a lot of those that are living around here decide to gain employment in Oconee County. We're spending probably close to $25 million in sewer infrastructure on Fairplay. With hopeful growth, thousands of jobs, who do you think is going to fill these jobs? It's not the senior citizens. It's these students. You take this project, you'll put it down there in Fairplay, I guarantee you there's a whole lot of people raising their hands voting to give sewer infrastructure money. Thank you.
So, it's not necessarily about student housing, but student housing is free to come as they want. We just don't need to subsidize it with taxpayer money because they're coming whether we give them money or not, because there's money to be made in it. And, I don't believe we should subsidize really any residential housing because we're not having to incentivize people to move to Oconee County. Any other comments?
I'd like to say, I'd like to echo what you said, Matt. I'm not necessarily against this development, but there are logistics to be thought about. You got the traffic, as John alluded to, the strain on EMS, fire, police. Now, I know, Julian, you said when you went to college, you didn't have these problems. But I stand here and I listen to Wayne, I listen to David, I can talk to the sheriff. Times have changed. The mentality of the younger generation has changed. So I don't want to see that brought in. I can't stop it. And like I said, I'm not necessarily against this development. It can bring revenue to the county. It can bring good folks to the county. But I'm not in favor of the $3 million kickback.
And I agree with that. But if you actually look at where law enforcement's spending their time, it's not camping out at student housing.
And I realize that.
Any other comments? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, next is ordinance 2023-04, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a real property lease agreement between the Oconee County as lessor and the Rosa Clark Medical Clinic Association Incorporated as lessee in relation to certain county-owned property located adjacent to the Oconee County Master's Office located at 1606 Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Ordinance 2023-06, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of certain real property owned by Oconee County consisting of approximately 0.15 acres and being a portion of tax map number 520-36-10-017, parcel 1, and authorizing the receipt of certain real property owned by Pine Ridge MHC South Carolina LLC consisting of approximately 0.25 acres and being a portion of tax map number 240-00-04-023, parcel 2, in exchange for the conveyance of parcel 1 and other matters related thereto. I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Okay, we have no scheduled second readings for ordinances. First reading for the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an amendment to the fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company known to the county and referred to for the time being as Project EV PAC affiliate, dated as of September 19th, 2017, and other related matters. I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comment?
Yes, I just want to address, sometimes I feel like there's a little confusion when we talk about fee in lieu of agreements. When you're talking about manufacturing, the state, I think it's a 14% tax on that. So the fee in lieu of was created in the state to allow counties to help incentivize manufacturers to come to the South Carolina and come to their county. So that's when we're doing a fee in lieu of, we're trying to drop them down to a specific amount. Trust me, they pay their fair share, but other states have different ways that they do this. The state of South Carolina created a fee in lieu of to allow us to be competitive with that. So I just wanted to address that.
Any other comments? All in favor?
That is 5-0.
Ordinance 2023-07, an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Project MADE, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, developing a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park. Authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more grant agreements, authorizing the conveyance of certain real estate for Project MADE, and other related matters. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Ordinance 2023-08, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of certain real property owned by Oconee County to Mount Nebo Baptist Church, property consisting of approximately .14 acres and being a portion of tax map number 256-00-01-006, and authorizing the receipt of certain real property owned by Mount Nebo Baptist Church, property consisting of approximately .0034 acres, and being a portion of tax map number 256-00-04-019, and other matters related thereto. I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
That is 5-0.
All right, first reading of the following resolutions. Mr. Root, do I read the resolution or read the title?
Just the titles.
Just the title. All right, resolution 2023-06, a resolution recognizing and designating April 2023 as Fair Housing Month. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, second. Any comments? All right, hearing no comments, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Resolution 2023-07, a resolution consenting to the assignment and assumption of a fee agreement by and among Epic Clemson LLC, Epic Clemson Street LLC, in Oconee County, South Carolina, and other related matters. I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
That is 5-0.
All right, we now have no discussion for action items. Okay, council committee reports. First, we have the Planning and Economic Development. Mr. Davis, give the report for the March 21st, 23.
Yes, sir. The Planning and Economic Development Committee met council chambers March 21st, 2023, comprised of myself, Mr. Elliott, Mr. Mize. We had a planning and code enforcement update. Mr. Coley, Planning and Zoning Director, provided an update regarding the Planning and Zoning Department's year-to-date plat reviews, subdivision applications, residential building permits, variances, and special exemptions and buffer permits, along with code enforcement caseload updates. Mr. Jamie Gilbert did an economic development update. He is the development director for OEA. Updated the committee with highlights from the past year, provided a 2023 business development activity as well. Next Planning and Economic Development Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, June 6th at 4:30. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, now we have the Real Estate Facilities Land Management Committee. Mr. Mize.
Yes, the Real Estate Facilities and Land Management Committee met on March 21st of 2023, and the committee members that were present was myself, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Hart. The Real Estate Facilities and Land Management Committee, like I said, we met on March 21st, 2023, in council chambers for an update and discussion regarding Pine Street Annex Facility. Mr. Brock, she gave a short overview to the committee with details regarding the proposed Pine Street Annex Facility, noting the need for increased storage for various departments and the need for increased security for the voter registration elections office. And this topic will be coming back before committee once recommendations from the Department of Homeland Security have been received and reviewed. So the next Real Estate Facilities and Land Management Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. Be here in the chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Mize. Next, we have Budget, Finance, and Administration. Mr. Elliott.
No, the committee met at 9 a.m. on March 24th, 2023 for fiscal year 2023-24 budget discussion and workshop. Mr. Davis, Mr. Hart, Mr. Mize, and myself were present. It was noted that the proposed budget increase will reflect growth in our tax base. Therefore, there is no tax increase in this budget cycle. During the budget workshop, Ms. Brock started with a grants review, followed by a detailed discussion regarding the proposed fiscal year 2023-24 budget. The Budget Administrative Finance Committee met today, April 18th, 2024 at 4:30, and will meet again on May 2nd, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Can I move it on to Board and Commission appointments? For the Agriculture Advisory Board, we have 2 questionnaires on file requesting appointment to District 2. It's my district. I would like to nominate Dr. Trent Smith to the Agricultural Advisory Board.
You need a second?
I do.
You don't need a second.
No.
Okay.
For nominations.
All right, so, all in favor?
That is 5-0.
Next is Board of Zoning Appeals. For District 1, we have 1 questionnaire on file requesting reappointment, and we have 2 questionnaires requesting initial appointment.
I nominate Mr. Jim Henderson.
Mr. Jim Henderson. All in favor?
That is 5-0.
All right. District 4 says no, but I think we had one. I'm on this circle.
I believe that was one of the late ones that came in, Thomas James.
I have another
nominate
one that's
Tommy
coming in.
James then.
I have another one. That's my district.
Okay.
I'll have one by the next meeting.
So you want to postpone that one?
You rescind your nomination?
I think one time I nominated somebody for your district, and you got a little upset at me, so I withdrew that nomination.
I'll withdraw mine then.
Okay, nomination withdrawn. Building Codes Appeal Board is at large for 2 at-large seats. We have 2 questionnaires requesting reappointment. 1 questionnaire requesting initial appointment, and I believe, Ms. Hart, you brought in 1 more after this. So we
Yes, I
have
did. I brought in, I'd like to nominate him, Mr. Kenny Owen.
Mr. Kenny Owens. All in favor?
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, and then any other nominations?
Vicky Smith. I'd like to nominate her too.
Miss Vicky Smith. All in favor? Any opposed?
The vote is 4-1.
Okay. Planning Commission, we have, see here, District 3, we have 3 questionnaires requesting initial appointment.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Mr. Brett Adams.
Mr. Britt Adams. All in favor? Any opposed?
The vote is 4-1.
Okay, for at-large, we have 1 questionnaire requesting reappointment, 4 questionnaires requesting initial appointment. I'd like to nominate Mr. Mickey Haney. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Vote is 3-2.
Okay, we need a motion to enter executive session to receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter regarding purchase of real property adjacent to a county park. Receive legal advice and discuss contractual matter regarding lease of property for operation by the County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. And discuss an economic development matter, Project Ironman. Motion? Motion second, all in favor?
Vote is 5-0.
Executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Root?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we need a few motions stemming from the executive session matters. First one relates to item number 1, which was receipt of legal advice and discussing a contractual matter regarding the purchase of real property adjacent to a county park. Need a motion to direct staff to proceed with negotiations for purchase as discussed.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second motion will relate to number 2. Similarly, and this relates to the lease of property for operation by County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism and Department, Need a motion to proceed with negotiations for the lease of the subject property as discussed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
Okay.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, in relation to item number 4, Project Ironman, need a motion to direct staff to proceed with negotiations as discussed.
Make a motion.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.